Yeah, you're wrong.
All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. We can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Mr. Scott, if you could call the roll.
Mrs. Albright.
Here.
Mrs. Bell.
Here.
Mrs. Godfrey.
Here.
Mr. Jarrett.
Here.
Mrs. Leone.
Here.
Mrs. Olson.
Here.
Mr. Scott here. Mrs. Strobel is absent. Mrs. Thompson.
Here.
8 here.
Okay. Procedures for public participation. If you have a prepared statement to be read to the board, you should have a copy to present to the board president prior to their being addressed. Comments on agenda items will be made by rising and approaching the microphone, stating your name and address, and signing in on the sheet provided. You'll be granted up to 3 minutes to address the board. Your 3-minute time limit will start when you begin to speak. When 3 minutes are over, you'll be asked to be seated. Any item that is not on the agenda, as well as agenda items acted upon, comments can be made at the designated section at the end of the agenda. Okay, moving on to announcements. There are no agenda edits. Let everybody know there's an executive session following the meeting to discuss personnel and safety and security. And with that, we'll have the superintendent's report from Dr. Cooper.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a commencement on Friday was a great celebration for the class of 2022 for our graduates. And I'm not sure what Mr. Spores, what kind of agreement he made with Mother Nature, but she gave us some wonderful weather, which was great. I want to publicly thank our professional staff, our support staff, contracted service providers, administration for their commitment to our students and families for this past school year as it came to a close on Friday. And also would like to thank our Board of School Directors for their time, commitment throughout the course of this year in supporting our district. They volunteer many hours serving our students and families, and that's greatly appreciated. That concludes my report. I will turn it over to Ms. Chloe Fries to introduce our newest board representative that replace graduating senior Luke Geringer.
So as you know, Sam and I are the current school board reps, and we have 2 new junior reps, Ethan Kleinman and Anna Buckwalter, unfortunately couldn't make it.
Hi everybody, I'm happy to be here. All good.
Thank you.
Our junior reps not only come here 2 Mondays a month, well, 1 Monday a month on their own time, but they also spend time speaking to different folks in all 4 buildings to find out what's going on, what are kids' concerns, to bring them to the board, and we really do thank them for their input. Okay, so moving on to finance. Any comments, questions, concerns for anything that we're going to be voting on at the next meeting in a week under finance for the board? All right. Any public comment under finance? All right. Budget, number 3. So what's attached there is what the current budget looks like. Next week we'll have to be voting on what the millage rate is going to be for the year. I don't know if any of the board wants to talk about that right now, we can. Make for an eventful Monday the 13th, I guess. Any public comment on the budget? All right. Programs. Anything that you'd like to discuss under there? We have some policies going into effect, or I think they're just revisions to policies. Anything under programs? Anybody from the board wants to talk about? All right, any public comment? Okay, personnel. We have a few retirements, resignations, leaves, many leaves, and a few appointments. Anything anybody from the board wants to talk about? Any public comment? Okay, moving on to presentations by board members. Now you have to say something. Secretary Correspondence.
I have nothing to report. We've had
Okay.
no correspondence.
I guess maybe not much. Okay. BCIU board report, Mr. Zurich.
BCIU just did normal business as approved contracts and employee stuff.
Okay.
Recognized an employee of the month.
Okay.
It's about it.
Okay. Always a slow news month.
Yeah.
May.
Yes, it is.
BCT board, Ms. Thompson.
They met May 25th. I was unable to make it, but I have the minutes
Okay.
emailed to me. Looks like they approved a budget of $20 million. Various purchases and adult tuition was set. The next meeting is June 22nd.
All right. Legislative report from Mr. Strobel, who isn't here. The only thing he told me is that there's been no movement on anything that should impact the budget. But other than that, he'll give a full report for 2 months next time. Any other board reports? Okay, public comment. All right, enrollment numbers. Anybody have any questions for the administration on the enrollment numbers? Any public comment? All right, Curriculum and Instruction Committee, Ms. Albright.
We met on May 23rd, and we talked about the Summer Academic Connections program and the current enrollment. We also talked about professional development that was offered for staff during the summer and new middle school electives that will be offered next year.
Any questions from Ms. Any questions from the board for Ms. Albright or for the administration on that? And the next meeting will be the 13th, which is next Monday. Any public comment on curriculum and instruction? Moving on to extracurricular, Ms. Bell.
We met earlier this evening. We just had a spring sports wrap up and noted that we currently have 2 students in Orlando representing the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at the USA Games by Special Olympics. We also talked about our track replacement coming in 5 years' time, and then possibly changing it to full 8 lanes rather than 8 lanes to go to 6 lanes to host larger track meets. We talked about student admission at events and waiving the student fee for Daniel Boone students to increase attendance. And then we also talked a little bit more in depth about Unified Track and their stipend.
Okay, and then the next meeting will be, we don't have committee meetings in July, so the next meeting will be August 8th. Any questions from the board for Ms. Bell? Any public comment? Okay, moving on to facilities and transportation. Mr. Strobel was not here, and we did not have 3 members of that committee here, so it was just information only. We had a library update. The library at the high school is complete, available to tour if anybody on the board wants to get a tour before school starts. The wall project at the IC is scheduled, underway, should be. It is scheduled to be complete before the beginning of school. Moving update, moving all the classrooms that need to be moved from the PC to the IC and from the IC to the middle school. Everything's all packed up, about 25 rooms, I believe, and should be done by the end of this week. I don't think the unpacking will have happened, but at least everything will be moved. Door project, doors being replaced at the high school, going on by the end of June. Is that correct?
That's when it's going to start.
Yeah, it's going to start at the end of June. Will be done before school starts. We had discussion about the grounds RFP. All the board should have a copy of the comparison in their email. Brightview, Edwards, and Halter were the three vendors who put in proposals. And the Brightview proposal is significantly higher, like almost 40% higher than the other two. So if we could just concentrate on Halters and Edwards. As presented, Halter's bid for 3 years was a little over $880,000. Edwards was a little almost $869,000. So the bid for Halters was 1.3% higher. Information's provided here that if Halter is selected as the vendor, they do need to use our sheds, and so there would be right around $10,000 each year that will come back in revenue for leasing. The recommendation from the administration was that with Halter's bid being only 1.3% higher, if they were awarded the bid, there would be some money coming back into the school district, and with their past history with us, that they wanted to continue with Halter. We had that discussion in the meeting, but we had that discussion, but no recommendation was made because we didn't have enough people there. So I'm going to throw that open to the board to discuss, because we're going to have to vote on it one way or another for one of the three vendors next meeting. Anybody want to talk about it? We can always talk about it next time.
As always, I will always say that if it's not broke, you don't need to fix it. And if it worked for us in the past, it should continue to work for us.
I concur with that as well.
Okay.
I personally think they've done a good job. They do.
I do too. All right. And that was what we discussed during the facilities committee meeting. Our next meeting will be the 8th, I guess, of August. Any questions for me or for the administration on the stuff we discussed in facilities from the board? Any public comment? Okay, moving on. No.
Okay.
No, we'll get there. No, it's okay.
You always psych me out.
Yeah, I know, the committee of the whole and the regular meeting are different, so it's fine.
I do.
For this one? Okay, go ahead.
She is. She is. There we go.
Melissa Marquez, 445 West First Street, Birdsboro. Yes, no, you have to. Anyway, when I saw you, you were worried about the Holter vote, you told me, and that how,
Put the mic on. Nope.
It's on.
well, you better pause my minutes, Albright. I can't.
It's just on and off.
So when I saw you, you did mention how you were worried about the vote for Holder, and how your board and everyone's going to have to go about this a different way since the uproar in our community. So are you going to like show public the RFPs for them? Since transportation wasn't shown? That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, moving on to finance. Finance was easy. Well, it was quick anyway. Our last board meeting, our last finance committee meeting was just a quick question and answers about the budget. And there were very few questions. I think there were 2 questions. And mostly it was just asking our last budget meeting. We did not have certainty on some of the budget numbers having to do with salary and Social Security and insurance. And as far as they can be at the meeting we had in May, they were as final as they were going to be. Just knowing who was, we thought we had most of our retirements and resignations in for the year. So that was what we were waiting on. And those numbers were updated for that meeting. Our next finance committee meeting is next week in June 13th. Again, we're probably just going to be talking about the budget. So, any questions from the board on that? Any public comment? Policy review was canceled this week, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and the first and second readings, well, actually the first readings sit there under letter C. Our next meeting is August 8th. Is that right? Any public comment on policy? Technology. Mr. Strobel is not here, so I have the notes for technology. So our technology meeting was held May 23rd. We had a report on technology use at the school. We had a 2% increase in overall technology use to 90% of the students and staff reported to using technology in the classroom. That's in comparison to 68% just 3 years ago, pre-COVID. Infinite campus usage continues to grow. 90% of our parents have established an account. We average almost 7,800 student logins and 7,800 student logins and 4,200 parent logins each week. It's an increase of 12% and 9% respectively. We have over 46,000 Zoom meetings this school year, and that's a decrease of approximately 50% since the previous school year, which makes sense because we've gone back more to in-person, and we are no longer doing 2 different cohorts at the middle school and the high school with half the kids staying home every week. And it also represents a substantial growth in our ability to reach students anywhere compared to 2019, where that number barely was 100. Next year, one of our areas of growth opportunity will be working with our faculty and students to leverage technology to increase the type of feedback they receive on assignments and to allow them to access insights beyond classes they're in each day. Overall, users report 91% satisfaction with technology support, and 99% of our faculty and 91% of our students believe we are a technology-oriented district. So that was a report that we received from the Technology Committee. Any questions, comments from the board on that? Our next meeting for technology is the 13th, I think. Any public comment on technology? Okay, old business. We'll have to approve the meeting minutes. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Any public comment? New business? We got nothing? Yeah.
Can I ask something? So I was at the graduation this past week, and I have to say I was pretty, I don't know what the word would be, amazed at the choice of the song for our graduating seniors. And I think in the future, we need to make sure that those songs are appropriate. Talking about drugs and drunk driving, I don't think is the most appropriate use of a song. I think, and I don't know this for a fact, but I know that they had a lot of kids that had passed away from various things this past year, and I think that they were trying to pay a tribute to them for what they had gone through, and I get that, but there were way more appropriate songs than that song. And I know a lot of community members are not happy about that song choice.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I don't want to get into a situation where the board is like passing judgment on a yay or nay on something that the senior class is doing. I don't want to get into that ever. I don't think that's really our place. I get what you're saying.
As a whole, not the board.
Okay, fair enough.
District as a whole.
Fair
Do
enough.
what's right for the kids. And to be promoting drugs and drunk driving is not promoting a good atmosphere here at Danville.
Well, don't the kids select the song?
They do.
And isn't that kind of a rite of passage, is that they're now basically essentially adults?
Yeah.
They can choose that inappropriate song.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the.
But what about all the families that find that very inappropriate? If my child was graduating this year and that was the song, I would have been very upset.
And that's fair, but I think too, we have to think about who's the graduation for. Is it for you as a mom, or is it for your kid who is now essentially an adult? And I don't know the right answer.
I would consider a 17-year-old that's
I'm playing
graduating.
the devil's advocate.
To play devil's advocate just a tiny bit further. I graduated in 1988. And
What year?
yes, let's write that down. And we chose "Comfortably Numb" by Pink Floyd, and a lot of parents didn't like it, and the school let us do it anyway. I wasn't super happy about it either. Because it wasn't my choice. I didn't. I voted for something else. But not that song from Dirty Dancing, because that's a dumb song.
I just don't
But
that's just my
But I'm just saying.
That's the opinion of community members, and I make
Absolutely. I'm. I feel like maybe there's a middle ground.
I hear what Jennifer's saying, and I don't think it should have anything to do with the board. However, I do feel like administration should have stepped in. It was inappropriate. And just as administration doesn't let me wear a shirt that says, "Show me your Heine" with a Heineken on it, I shouldn't be listening to that when my grandparents and parents and relatives from all over the world are coming to watch me graduate. So, there's a lot about choice, and that could have just been taken off the list of choices.
I would like to just beg, I'm going to disagree about the song. I'm not going to bring up the song, I'm not talking about the song. I just
Thank you. I attended both of our COVID period graduations. And at the beginning of this school year, I sat in this room with the then facilities director, who looked very dubious at me when I said, I think by the end of school, we're going to have everybody here. We're going to be able to have as many people as we normally do here. We're going to be able to fill both sets of stands, and the kids are all going to be able to be here, and we're not going to be having a bunch of kids out for COVID. And he did not think I was right. And I was really happy that that's the way this graduation worked out. And, that everyone who wanted to be there was able to be there, except for a couple of kids that had already started their summer endeavors. A couple of kids missed out, but most everybody was able to be there. I was very happy about that, and their families. Any public comment on any of that under new business? And there will be one more, like, just on all the things.
I'd like to first say thank you for the senior signs that you did. That was just a really nice surprise to come to.
Mike,
Yeah, we can't.
Mike, you can't hear.
It's on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Thank you for the signs you guys did. I don't know if it was you or the parents. The signs are beautiful. The ceremony was absolutely beautiful for graduation, and I did cry a couple times too. But I would like to speak once again about the mixed messages being sent to the DB students. I've attended meetings and listened to students who say they don't feel safe, they feel abused. The school's response was to implement SEL, aka CLT, into the curriculum, which in my mind is a failure. Since the implementation of this program, students seem divided, agitated, and lost. I feel like they attend the meetings to sell the school board on this program but not come up with valid resolutions to the issues that they're discussing. Safe places don't work. I have had some resolutions on these ongoing issues, and it's basically follow the rules that are on the books. The 21-22 graduating class songs, both were horrible. I provided the lyrics to both years. The class songs were offensive and in direct violation of Code 220, Volume 1, Student Expression. The song Pursuit of Happiness by Kid Cudi and Congratulations by Post Malone are inappropriate as graduation songs. The one song by Post Malone has the N-word in it twice. That's something these kids come to these meetings and talk about.
Truth.
And it's just horrible. The other songs both songs have the F-bombs. They have other curse words, and they do talk about driving drunk. These are things that we tell the kids they shouldn't be doing drugs and driving and drinking. It is infuriating as a mom to hear that song at the end of graduation. My 80-year-old mom figured out the words that were bleeped out. That was embarrassing. So that's not the impression that I want my family to know about DB, because DB is awesome. I could go on, but I only have 3 minutes, and I've skipped a couple of the other things, but there are rules that are already on the books, like no cell phones. Don't encourage kids to use TikTok in the schools, and enforce the dress code. My son comes to school in a Yingling beer shirt, and no one says anything. It's common sense.
Hello, everyone. I want to go almost singing along the lines with the music. Now, me personally, I like the songs, but, at least I did a few years ago. But it definitely is inappropriate for kids to choose songs. The way I look at it is, back in the day, there was a few groups that you would take your compact discs and your music, and you go in the corner and you would go down the street and listen to the music because I used to do that because if my mom heard, she'd kill me. Now, that type of music is all you hear in the music today. Or before, back in the 90s, early 90s, it wasn't as vulgar or terrible as it is today. This is stuff that you can listen to in your own personal area, but when you're representing the school in front of parents and grandparents and things like that, it should be more guided towards something very generic. My thing is when you let kids choose and do things like that, if you give them an inch and then they take a mile. Now I'm going to play like the devil's advocate as far as, what if these kids decided that, this year we're going to choose the song WAP by Cardi B. I don't know if any of you know what that means, but I know that wouldn't be a song appropriate for school, but then again, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. WAP. Okay? It's wet.
No, we don't need to go there.
Okay? That's what it means. Got it? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and there'll be another one. There'll be another time period to talk.
I just wanted to say on the song, I graduated from Danny Boone in 2009, and our first song that we picked had one lyric about getting drunk, and it was, we were told we were not allowed to pick that song. So I see that as a failure of the current administration to allow this to happen. Thank you.
Okay, anyone, thank you very much. Anyone else under new business? Or would like to move on to presentations on any topic? Can we move on to presentations on any topic?
I'm going first again. Sorry. Just a good one. Hello, everyone. I emailed all of you guys today.
Correct.
Okay. Awesome. Now you're making no interest. I was a little nervous about it, but I did. All right. I want to talk about the resident in the White House has announced that K through 12 must allow boys in the girls' bathroom in order to qualify for federal funds used to pay for school lunches. The move, which was made by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Service, was made based on interpretation of the prohibition of discrimination based on sex, as detailed in blah, 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 blah. In line with, the President's executive order on preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation, and is consistent with the Supreme Court's decision, versus blah, 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 this, that, and the other. Which the court has held in prohibition on sexual discrimination under, this, that, and the other. I'm not going to read the acts. But it also extends to discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. In other words, unless schools allow transgender identified students to enter the bathrooms of their choosing, schools will be cut off entirely from federal funds and be unable to pay for food served in the cafeteria. The move sparked backlash among conservative organizations, condemning the administration for weaponizing progressive policies at the cost of feeding hungry kids. It seems to be playing politics with feeding poor kids, which is really unfortunate, said Executive Director of Indiana Non-Public Education Association in an interview with the Federalist, because if a school feels they cannot participate because it's conflict with their mission or values, if a religious exemption is not granted, you're taking away a program that is feeding low-income kids. The following recommendation of this new policy establishes accept food stamps or federal funding are required to allow men into women's private spaces, including showers and sleeping areas. Additionally, these organizations are to provide training for employees and staff to not misgender anyone and use the pronouns of their choice. These organizations are also required to allow male staff to dress as a woman while working. Government schools can receive no exemption. At best, parents and taxpayers can urge their school districts not to comply, while there may be lawsuits over the administration's interpretation work through courts over the years. Even in this regulation is ultimately overturned by the one means or another, millions of American children will be forced to eat their lunches with a side of sexual politics. I also sent that the governor of South Dakota already is suing Biden for school lunch policy tied to the transgender issues.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sally Rhodes. Obviously, I'm here to talk again about the transportation contract, and my comments are not against Christ Transportation, but focusing on the administration and the board. When we placed our bid on the first RFP that went out, and we were the only bidders, it was $3.99 per day per bus. Our plan was to increase the drivers' wages significantly to $26 per hour, higher than they would be getting with the new company, and offer them health insurance. Kathleen Haynes stated in the March 14th meeting that this was a gross bid. Yes, Kathleen, it was high. But no one on this board or in the administration cared to contact the longtime loyal contractors to see why it was so high. Instead, you turn around and put it out for a second RFP. By the end of the, I'll cut to the chase, but by the end of the RFP process and creating a contract with virtually nothing in it from the RFP, we were $50 per day per bus, less than $390 per day per bus that was awarded to the new company, had all the information been shared with the board. That's a fail. The CPI, that's another issue. Across 7 years, you're going to pay more than what you ever divulged. And not to mention the $800,000 check written to Christ for startup expenses that was hidden in another account. Again, kudos to Christ. Bad news for you guys.
And taxpayers.
Kathleen, you have totally misguided this school board because your entire
You should not
focus
be
was to
calling
get us out.
Staff members.
You can look at me.
Can you just
You
do me
will
a
never
favor?
Yeah, can you address,
Don't attack her.
can we address the board?
You can speak. I'm not cutting your time down.
She's
Just-
not, she's stating facts.
You will never recover the extra amount being spent on the new company in reimbursement, no matter how you want to spin your numbers. With all that being said, if all the information would have been shared, as I said, with the board, and the board members took any interest in it, other than the two that did, our bid was not $1 million over the other bid. The numbers do not lie, and you should not be publicizing incorrect information to the taxpayers that you supposedly represent. The timing doesn't add up either. If new buses were ordered and they were here, will be here for the start of the school year, the date of the approved contract doesn't add up. Currently, it takes 9 to 12 months to get new buses. So that would tell me that that contract was awarded way before the May 12th vote. And I will back up with what we mentioned before, that John Coakley was approached to manage that operation 2 weeks before May 12th. Dr. Cooper, will you be approving every single driver that Christ employs across Pennsylvania like you did ours? And I fully support that.
Thank you.
But I'm specifically referring to the traveling school bus drivers. They need to be approved and held to the exact guidelines as you held us to.
Your 3 minutes are up.
No.
I interrupted her, so can we just give her another minute?
With this vote, and what you each, as members of the board, approved is disgraceful to two loyal and local companies, plus many local suppliers and merchants. It is an absolute disregard to the taxpayers who pay your salaries and a detriment to the senior citizens of this community. But you really just don't care. The onus is strictly on you, the administration and school board, and you should be ashamed of yourselves and be ousted, to quote the Reading Eagle when the new company was announced as in the newspaper. It's a shame. Thank you.
I'm Donna Rhodes from Douglasville. And listening to the January 24th, 22 Finance Committee meeting on YouTube, Ms. Haynes says, in reference to the outsourcing of Act 168, that it is highly recommended throughout the state to go with that program. It's politics. Politics? Did Christ Transportation receive the first RFP? And these questions I'm asking, I would expect to be answered. Did Christ Transportation receive the first RFP that was sent out to bus contractors? How did it come to be that Christ submitted their prices to the second RFP? At this point, Klein and Rhodes' first bid was already being leaked by individuals on the school board. Not knowing who all leaked numbers to who, how could the second RFP even be fair? Obviously, anyone can submit a bid lower if they know the other bidder's figures. I asked myself, who is this Christ Transportation? Christ Transportation is a partnership with ASTP, American Student Transportation Partners. Who's that? Well, Access Holdings is a private equity which was founded in 2013 to manage a concentrated portfolio of essential services-based companies in North America. And Access Holdings launched ASTP in 2020 as a platform business to partner with best-in-class student transportation providers. Typically, a private equity typically takes a minimal investment in private equity funds is relatively high, such as $25 million. Wow, that's a lot of money. Is one of the limited partners the public pension funds? Would this be a recommendation throughout the state of Pennsylvania? Is it politics as well? No. Why did Ms. Haynes not recommend option B for Lee Rhodes and Klein? Also, why is the Christ contract ironclad with a 7-year contract and right of first refusal for future transportation contracts, eliminating Daniel Boone the ability to negotiate with other contractors in the future? The elimination of competitors will not produce the most financial savings in the future and therefore will not be in the best interest of the students, parents, and taxpayers of the Daniel Boone school districts. Do other contracts would this board have a right of first refusal clause, or was that just for transportation?
Anyone else?
Sydney Alvaro, 96 Weavertown Lane. I'm here speaking on behalf of my mother, Valerie Rhodes, and my stepfather, Steve Rhodes, as they cannot be here because they are on charter bus right now going to Finger Lakes. As you look over the PSBA rules, I'd like you to raise your hand if you follow those rules during time deciding who's awarded the 2022-2023 Daniel Boone Transportation Contract, or if you really followed it at all. Kathleen Haynes, you took transportation routing from us because you decided it's a part-time position, and yet every year since, you cannot handle the responsibilities of the job and is falling on us contractors. You still, to this day, piecemeal the job to several different positions and expect it to be done in the caliber every other school district gets it done. Truth is, other school districts call us directly to cover van runs to special schools, even if Daniel Boone has a student going to that school, because they cannot stand dealing with you and piece together a transportation department. They would rather pay contractor price than share a run with Daniel Boone. That's bad. I still remember you standing in front of my terminal as I was routing the first summer you took over transportation. You stood in front of me asking the AP person at the time, Robin Peter, to pay Paul, and you said, you really don't have to know what you're doing, you just need to fake it well enough so they don't ask questions. Woo! I remember sitting in my chair saying to myself, this is what is running our office, our business office flat. I wonder if you have ever been honest a day in your life. And Mr. Cooper, you sir need to take yourself off the pedestal you've placed yourself on. You are a civil servant to this school district, and no one should be told that they have to go through a chain of command to talk to you. You have never came into either bus contractor's place of business to see how things operate, to see what the school district can do to help the drivers with the kids, or even just pop in and say hello. No, you'd rather just assume things you think you know, and base your decisions on rumors and hearsay. Shame on you for not doing your job the way it should be done. Bucky Scott, if your 6 kids were still being bused in this district, would you still be making that choice you made? Would your wife be have been happy to go to 3 to 4 different schools every AM and PM to pick them up if no bus transportation could be provided to your area? I've met her, and I'm going to say, no, she would not be happy about it. You, sir, have just voted on something that your family would not have been happy about and will now affect others in the district. Mr. Strobel's not here, but he should not have been placing a vote if he couldn't even read the whole RFP because he wasn't even knowledgeable of what to bid on. You went off Kathleen's word, and the original numbers came in. We listed on March 14th, 22 board meeting and heard the conversation. Please don't tell us that you have 2 companies to run, therefore you didn't have time to read the whole thing. Most contractors have 2 companies, drove buses most days, 4 hours a day, and still manage to run companies. You don't stay in business 94 years and do not know what you're doing. Thank you.
Before you go ahead, before we start the timer, the comments I just heard about specific people and how they do their jobs here, I think are fair game. Comments about people in their personal lives as board members, I don't think are fair game here. I'm just letting you know that. So 3 out of 4 I thought were fair game, 1 was not.
Yeah, you wanna go after me for my children?
Listen,
You wanna talk bad about my children? That was a big mistake.
write that.
That was. You all do the research. I still have 2 kids in this school. So don't go after my children.
Listen.
No, you did, ma'am.
Okay,
You wrote down that.
Bucky,
I'm just.
no, I understand,
No, that's like going after
but
my, that's,
No, and also.
we're not allowed to go after.
Not paid, not paid, not paid, not paid. We give up our time. Every
wanted
2
it.
weeks to be.
all right. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Somebody's giving you that information. You're making it personal.
It is personal. It's personal. My kid.
Oh, man.
Do
Don't go after my children.
anyone interested in me calling a recess?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just.
All right.
Tell our kids.
Yeah, superintendent
There
doesn't
is
live in our district, so
someone-
he doesn't care.
There is
right?
someone waiting to speak at the mic.
I apologize, ma'am.
No, it's fine.
Courtney Rhodes, Levinstone. I'm actually picking up on Valerie Rhodes' statements here. So first of all, me personally, I would like to thank the 2 board members that voted in favor of, honestly voted in favor of clients.
There were 3.
Starting off with Mr. Scott, Mr. Strobel, Mr. Jarrett, and Mrs. Thompson. You all sat on the transportation committee, but never once did you ever inquire about how transportation works. Do you even know? Do you have the knowledge to sit on this committee and make decisions for the whole school district? Ms. Olafson, Mrs. Bell, Mrs. Godfrey, and Mr. Jarrett, you all sat on the finance committee. Do any of you have a finance degree or care to even learn how it works? Ms. Olafson, we came to you a year ago to voice our concerns about Ms. Haynes and Mr. Cooper, Dr. Cooper, keeping things from the board in line, saying the board would not go for it. But they never even asked the board anything. You could have had busing right now for about $2.89 per bus, but they never came to you, they just lied. It makes you think, what else did they lie about? But still, after knowing all this information, going into this, you still chose to believe the 2 of them when they showed you the numbers,
Shame on you for not doing your due diligence and research, or even reaching out to the contractors to get the real story. Mrs. Godfrey, how did you get a vote? Did you know you knew you were moving when you helped set this in place? Or
Again,
Yeah, you know, I'd like to defend myself just really quickly. When I took this seat on the board, I was appointed. Do you know what that means? That means that there was nobody on this seat. That means that everybody in Birdsboro did not want this seat. They were going to change the bylaws so that somebody in Douglasville or Amity would fill it. Did you know that?
That would have been fine. It's better than you voting and moving.
All right, Mrs. Thompson and Mrs. Bell, what made you think it was okay to share private information during an RFP contract negotiation with Prime Minister Jackson? Do you even know how that was not appropriate and against the rules? I'm sure you don't, but at the same time, we do thank you. Otherwise, we would have no idea that Mr. Cooper quietly moved up the voting meeting to 5-9 to sneak Christ in without Rose or Klein finding out until it was too late. Not one board member ever came to the garage to introduce themselves, never tried to understand how the busing works, never asked to ride the bus to see what the student behavior is like, never attempted to get to know Steve, Wayne, or our families. But what you did do is chose to believe lies and gossip to make your decisions.
I actually would like to just say really quick that I did come out to the bus lot. I did talk to many people. I did. I was at the bus lot, and I don't have to be on the bus because I teach kids all day, and I know exactly what they're like on the bus because I thankfully say at the end of the day, sorry, honey, that happened on the bus. You don't have to tell me about it. Like, that's not.
Thank you.
Gretchen Markle, Birdsboro. You know, if you don't like it, what's going on, then run for the school board. They take crap all the time, mostly from babies. But they did the right thing.
That is true.
Your contract ends June 30th. If you could not do the right thing to make sure that you got the contract, then that is your problem. Now, do not attack these people and do not attack their families.
Don't attack their families. That's their job.
Well, I'm really sorry. Where were you people? It's great to see all these people out here, but where were you with the illegal mask mandate? Where are you with CRT or what they're teaching? You don't care. And you're supposed to care about our kids. So I'm sorry you're all having a bad night. I'm with you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Susie Kresge. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I feel like I need to say something. Dr. Cooper, I want to address you. And my maiden name is Willer, which to many of you may not mean anything, but my father was superintendent here 50 years ago. My father believed that, of course, the priority of the school is to educate kids, but also that you're a beacon in the community and the community supports you and vice versa. The school needs to support the community. The other connection to this is after he was superintendent here, we moved to Punxsutawney. My father was superintendent at Punxsutawney and gave Tim Kreis his first contract in 1990. So we have that connection too. And I'm sure that he gave or recommended to the school board, you have that power in a small town, that they hire Kreis Transportation because he was local. He was at my high school. I went to high school with him. And he had connection to the community, and he knew that he would support the community and be invested in the community. And he's not from our community. Rhodes is our community. When you take away contracts from local people, you're losing that connection with your community. And this is just one decision, Dr. Cooper. This is just one decision. But when you take away one decision, you take away hiring cafeteria workers, you take away hiring custodial workers. You're eroding our community, and you need to think about that. Think about what your role is, what your purpose is in our community. And that's what I wanted to say.
Anyone else? Thanks.
Tatiana Littner, I live in Indian Township. Was the school district legally allowed to hold a job fair, in quotes, on school property for only one contractor who hasn't even legally begun the terms of their contract? What part of the budget did the $800,000 startup cost to Christ come out of? Did this money put the district over budget in that category for the current school year? At the voting meeting on May 23rd, at least one board member appeared to be unaware that startup costs were a part of negotiations with the contractors. Were all board members provided with all of the negotiation details regarding the transportation contract prior to the special voting meeting on May 12th? At the illegal special voting meeting on May 9th, Ms. Olafson postponed the vote on transportation contract so that a full copy of the contract with the numbers attached would be made available to the public for the sake of transparency. Dr. Cooper clarified that as part of the RFP process, it's not required to add or include numbers in the contract that's being voted on. Not required, but also not prohibited. Just as the full current contract with the numbers attached was provided at the Committee of the Whole on March 13th, 2017. Considering Christ was the main argument for approving the Christ contract over Rose and Klein, these figures should have been disclosed to the public for analysis prior to the voting meeting if the administration had nothing to hide. Section 14 of the Christ contract suggests that while a permanent office, garage, and maintenance facility may possibly be located outside the boundaries of the school district, the location of where the buses are parked must be within the boundaries of the district, as well as the location for regular cleaning and maintenance, which I went to the job fair and nobody still knows the answer to that. I still ask, what address will the buses be parked at? What are the consequences to Christ if the buses are parked outside the boundaries of the district in breach of contract? How much revenue will the district lose if Christ is located outside the boundaries of the district? When will the Christ contract be available for public view on the district's website under public documents, contracts, and agreements? Will it include Exhibit A with the contractor's pricing forms, as the still current Rose and Klein contract shows today? In responses to the public from the voting meeting held on May 23rd, we responded to question 3 that Christ Transportation ordered a significant number of buses in advance, many of which have already arrived to support the contract with the district. What is the address of the location of those buses? What is the date that they were ordered? The response to the same meeting, the response to question 5 is actually incorrect. Section 5E of the Christ contract states that at the onset, all school buses assigned to regular daily routes by the contractor shall be no older than 3 years old. This means that they can be 3 years old beginning in the 22-23 school year. It is only guaranteed that the district will get Tier 1 reimbursement for 1 year, not 3 years, as the response to question 5 states. In 7 years, when the contract is up for renegotiation and Christ gets first dibs, as stated in Section 2B of the Christ contract, all of these buses may need to be replaced as they will be over 10 years old. What is the replacement plan for the buses? What is actually the best formula to get a maximum or at least balanced reimbursement? Is it the same one that was asked for the district on the original RFP? Thank you.
Thank you.
This is some kind of thing. My name is Valerie from Indian Township. I have so much to say. I'm so glad I didn't write anything because I'm going to just take this piece by piece. the parents who attend here.
Can you speak up?
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry to hear you.
Pretend to yell at me.
You can pick it up.
Right, pretend you're Jimmy.
You can hold it if you want. Yeah, that's better.
Won't do. I have no energy today. But I'm going to be sending an email trying to get something on a new agenda item. I'm not really sure what the process and procedure is, but I would like to do that. You'll get more information via email. But I'd like to start by saying this proverb, Proverbs 12, verse 15. The way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice. And I think it's a common theme tonight that many voices are not being heard. And I don't believe the community's felt they've been heard for quite some time. And I know that only because I've gone door to door and I've heard it from people directly. And we're seeing the fruit of of that kind of effort being weighed in the community. And I don't work with transportation. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I can appreciate some of the comments that are said tonight. I wanted to share a little more detail about what Jimmy said earlier. I'm really concerned because my family comes from the island of Dominican Republic and we share that island with Haiti. And in order to control the people of Haiti, they were starved to death, most communities. In Turkey, the government starved their people, refused them to harvest, and have livestock and pigs because they want to control them. We see that in China, we see them in many countries. So to have an administration say we're going to starve your children unless you teach this ideology is very concerning to me. And that's going to put you guys, unfortunately, in another predicament where you're going to probably have to make a very hard decision. But before you make that decision, I'd like to share that this ideology is a communistic ideology. And this ideology, actually, I heard the administration say that, we're in need of a new world order, and I remember this book. So I happened to pull this book. And the intention of the new world order, you ready? The new world order will include changes in the family. Homosexual marriages will be legalized. Parents will not be allowed to raise their children. The state will. All women will be employed by the state and not allowed to be homemakers. Divorce will become exceedingly easy, and monogamous marriage will be slowly phased out. The workplace, the government will become the owner of all factors of production, which someone shared earlier about that. The private ownership of property will be outlawed. Religion will be outlawed, and believers will either be eliminated or imprisoned. There will be a new religion, the worship of man in his mind, and all we believe in, the new religion. And my concern is we see this ideology everywhere. The sense of morality is gone, it's dissipated. And I think it has impacted some of the decisions that the board has made. I'm hoping that we could come to a better conclusion and better decision making when it comes to the community. This will really impact us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have my little bus buddy here with me. Melissa Marquez, Birdsboro, PA. So this is not about transportation. If Price won the bid, fair and square, we would not be upset. No one wanted to show us numbers. And I met you in the parking lot, and we had a brief conversation. You did say that you would make public RFPs, plural, with numbers attached the next day, right? Is that correct? Yes or no?
I said it
You
at
can't
the
even nod
previous
your head,
meeting.
yes or no?
I said it at the previous meeting.
RFPs with numbers.
I said it at
Cooper made a quick comment after you were done. Next meeting, we knew, Cooper, right away, that you did not want the numbers out after your comment. Because you addressed the board stating that they don't have to go out. So what are you hiding? I would be all about this new company if you put the numbers out. Why? Bids are done. You guys were, well, Cooper, you moved the whole meeting up sneakily to, 2 weeks ahead? Anyway,
And then moved it again.
Yes, well, they moved it again after we all showed up and found out about it. And we were all here. Anyway, so you moved it up. And then won't show RFPs and numbers. If this company is so much cheaper, why won't you show numbers? Why? 800,000. Christ, for Christ, what are they giving back? Roads, Kleins, they maybe 600, three each for new buses. What were they in the discount? What were they going to give you back? $18 a day per bus. Okay? And now I found my question too, after researching why all of you board members did not even go with the second option. And that is because Haynes, and it's on YouTube, recorded, she said, second option, I would not even recommend going with this option because we would want a vendor to get as many new buses as they can because the age plays a very big factor in how much we get reimbursed. That would reduce our revenue. So second option would have saved taxpayers, but it's going to reduce your pocket. So that's why you told the board not even to look at the second option. Found my question on that. Also, I told you too that if everyone, I don't know what Kleins and Rhodes wants to do, but if they want to go to court, or bring the school district to court, what did I tell you, Julia? You would be the first one on the stand because you signed that contract. I hope you got numbers in your hand. Now, going over the discussion, she handed out, Haynes, a paper to every one of you. Did you both get RFPs, both companies in your hands to go over it yourselves, or you just went off of her?
Thank you.
Thank you. Done? All right. Well, I hope you did. And as Julia said, administration wants what they want, and they'll persuade you to go that way. Didn't you tell me that? Yes. Yep. So it's all about administration. They wanted it. They got it. Puppets. That's what they're called. Not you.
Hi, my name is Megan. I live at 442 Meadowside Drive. I've been coming to these meetings and I see what you guys go through. And I see that you usually have an overwhelming response of people coming and talking to you when there is a problem. And again, it is hard sitting there, being in a volunteer position or listening to us. But I would like you guys to know what I've been seeing, especially for the past year, that I have been trying to actively come. That a year ago that I've seen our aides almost being outsourced, the heartbeat of our school. I see those men and women in our school every day. I drive the special needs kids on my bus. They have scratches up and down their arms. They are trying their best. And they beg me sometimes just to say something because they feel like no one listens to them. And they are afraid of their jobs just because of what happened last year. And it is heart-wrenching seeing that they give their whole hearts into this. Now, I see these drivers too that give their whole hearts into this as well. And I apologize that this feels personal. It is personal on our behalf too. That a board member leaked information to me on May 4th on information, and then I was told the day after not to tell my employer after that. And then I became a fearmonger and a backstabber because she told me this information. Now I'm sorry, these people pay my bills, and she told me this information willingly. I was personally attacked. And then that week of school, my 10-year-old was attacked by her child verbally, talked about stuff about his mother. Now, I confronted her, and I tried, and I understand that stuff happens, but at the end of the day, our children should not be wearing this big weight on their shoulders and an overdrafting to my child. Now, I understand, and I'm gonna say, I know you did not say anything, but little ears hear stuff. I did not ask for this information. I was told this information, and then called names after I was told this. So I was the one it was leaked to and discussed with my employers. I will own my truths. And I don't want my child involved in this.
Anyone else?
I'm Bob Salter from Birdsboro. It's my second time preparing for the school board on both occasions. The circumstances were pretty hinky in terms of what the school board has decided to do with important tasks that are contracted out, in this case, or for people that they wanted to contract out. In both those cases, your decisions are impacting the entire community of people who look to the school as setting the tone for the rest of us. And when you don't allow subject matter to be discussed in public, honestly, transparently, and forthrightly, you're sending a signal to everybody in this community that what we're doing doesn't matter. What you say in public doesn't matter. What happens behind closed doors is what matters, and decision making can be made by people that are powerful and untouchable and unassailable and resulting in a change. So I ask you, what are the criteria for making the decisions you have to make? Can you list where the school district is going to be saving substantial sums of money, substantial enough to take a contract from somebody who's provided long years of service, has been reliable, courteous, going above and beyond what's typically expected from a provider. There has to be a reason for it, so please somebody explain it to me. The floor is yours. I'm sorry? Why not? Why don't we answer questions?
Well, I would like to actually.
At the beginning of the previous school year, we had gotten into a situation where a lot of questions were being posed where our answers weren't being taken as truthful, and it ended up with a yes, that is the case, no, it isn't the case, and it got too argumentative. We found that it would be better if we took the time to get our answers as correct as possible before we put them out to the public. And that is new. It is since COVID. And I would hazard a guess that was, well, at least for me, the difference of opinion of what truth is became problematic, and it made the meetings even more acrimonious than this, if you can imagine. So that's why. That's the reason why all of our answers will be posted on the school website within the next couple of days.
But I will.
Never answered.
Go ahead.
I mean,
go ahead, Ms. Altman.
Listen, I won't. I'll let you talk after I'm done. I feel like I have a very short-term memory. I'm going to need to talk now before it falls out of my head. Okay. So I feel for you greatly in terms of coming to meetings and feeling like you're not being heard. The only reason I'm here is because I did that for 4 years before I got on the board. Came to every meeting and I yelled and screamed about whatever issue it was at the time, and I felt like nobody listened to me and no one cared and it didn't matter. And then I was like, hell, I'm just going to go do it myself because I believe in certain things. And we're 9 different people up here. We have 9 different opinions, and I will say firsthand, no, I have no finance experience. Please don't look at my checkbook. I mean, I don't. But my thing's curriculum. So when one of these people comes and asks about curriculum, I'm kind of the one that you would talk to because that's what I do. So we all rely on different strengths for different things. So no, when you come to me and say, am I a financial wizard? Absolutely not, which is why I'm the one that voted with my heart and said, stay with the loyal company, because I'm not a financial person. That's not what I do. So I'm just saying, I'm going to let you talk. I'm just saying, like, no, I can't say that in every realm of what I do up here that I'm the most knowledgeable or the best choice.
It seems to me that for an issue of this nature, when it's simple facts, here's a request for proposal, here are the bids we received, here's what each vendor is providing in terms of numbers, here's where they're offering some perks, here's where we can save some money. You share that with the public, and then you can easily defend your answers. When you kind of tiptoe around this stuff, it makes us all wonder what's going on. So I think there really should be some transparency when you're making important decisions like this. It sends a signal to the people who come to this school to learn that what we do in this country is about honesty and ethics and making fair decisions and giving a local contractor benefit of the doubt when it comes to whatever, $3,000. You know, so that's all I have to say, and I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.
Hi, my name is April Burnett, and I'm from Amity Township. If I'm correct, I believe that the school buses aren't responsible for getting the kids to school until October 31st. How are all these kids going to get to school, get the socialization and the education that we're all paying for that they deserve? I don't think we've gotten a clear answer yet, and New Roads or Kleins would have never in a million years gotten away with that. You're going to not get the same kind of service that you ever got from us. You got it from the heart. And I was told to say to Mrs. Thompson, before you tell the board something, you need to fact check, because Kleins was not hurting. They did not sell a part of their lot to Royal Farms. They rented that lot.
That's on a recording that she said that to you all.
Mrs. Thompson never stated that to me.
Yes, she did on
She
the
did
recording.
email, but you
No,
emailed it to them.
if you go on YouTube on the recording, she did say Kleins, I believe Kleins is her.
Does anyone
They
else
sold part
want
of
to
their
come
lot
to the mic to
Royal
speak?
Farms. I can send it to you if you don't remember. I believe it was March 14th. What was it? Tatiana? Was it March 14th? Yes. March 14th. Very last end of the conversation.
My name is Maureen Edelman. I reside in Douglasville. These are not my words. These are the words of Elena Darnell, who also resides in Douglasville. She was unable to attend this evening. Thank you to the school board members for your service and for the opportunity to speak. I appreciate it. I'm a township resident and a parent of 2 school-age children. Over the past 2 years, the families and students in our district have dealt with so much uncertainty. For our children, I have been looking forward to a life being less colored by the complications of the pandemic. I want more stability for our kids and families because this has been a very stressful time. What we know is that the students learn best when they have a stable school and home environment. So why make a big decision that adds uncertainty? I have been following the news of the bus contract for the last month. It struck me many times as being a bad idea for our community, but I was hesitant to speak up because I wasn't certain of all the details. As I learned more, I realized that nobody has enough details, and that at the core of this is what is wrong with the issue. The contract with Price does not, in fact, sound like it will save our district money in the long run. It sounds like it will cause a lot of logistical problems. That is the only part that sounds certain to me. If Price does not fill their bus driver positions by the time the school year begins, will you haul our children to school? Will you repair a broken down bus? Board members, will you let the buses park in your driveway? In addition, I am a buy local kind of person. I see the long-term, big picture value of supporting local businesses. Supporting local businesses pays off in more than money or on the dollar or on dollars staying local. Local business people have a deeper investment in our neighborhoods, our children, and their employees. Putting a cheap price tag on our children does not take into consideration the big picture. These children are future stewards of our community and earth, and every resident of our district should value them and their education as if it was their own child. I certainly want the best for each child in this district and consider all of your children's worth the same as my own. I found having the same attitude when I'm an old lady with no school-age children. As a parent and taxpayer, I'm strongly opposed to the decision of awarding Price Transportation our bus contract. Thank you all to the wonderful New Roads drivers that we have had over the years. Signed, Elena Yarnell, with her address and contact information.
Thank you.
Do you need this?
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else?
I just wanted to say again, April Burnett, Amity Township, this is very personal. This has been my life for the last 14 years. You're taking my living away from me, okay, where I go to every day. These little kids, at the end of the school year, even at the end of the day, every day, they come up and they give me a hug, and they thank me, and sometimes they tell me they love me. Oh my God, it is personal. I don't know how you can't see that.
Wayne Klein. Another contract signed, so just a few things I've heard tonight that I'd like to try to clarify and from some of the other meetings. Whether the statement was made or not, I'm not sure, but I never did own that parking lot where our coaches used to be parked. That's now going to be a Royal Farm. Rented that since 1986. Back in 2019, my landlord told me that he was going to have that developed by Royal Farms. So in January of 2020, I purchased 5.5 acres adjacent to our current school bus lot, giving me about 10 acres. So just to clarify that point. The lady that made the point that we should just get over it, I'd be able to get over it a lot easier if I felt as though all the board had all the facts when they made their decision. The fact that our option A was never made available just because one or two people in the administration said that it was not good. I could show where we actually took the age of vehicle and the way that affects reimbursement. I could have shown that to anybody if they would have asked. So it would have saved the district and more importantly the taxpayers a lot of money if that would have been shown to the board members and they could have voted on that. The other thing, there was a statement made that the voting meeting that you're going to save $1 million over 7 years by going with Price. I don't agree with those numbers, but let's just pretend that they are correct. $1 million, the district would get about 40% of that back, so now we're at about $600,000 spread over 7 years, less than $100,000 per year. Looking at your current budget, which is a little over $66 million times 7 years, if you use a CPI of about 3%, you're looking at over $500 million. So less than $100,000 per year compared to $500 million over that 7-year contract. I think you made a mistake.
Anyone else? All right, so I'm disappointed in the level of,
One more. Oh, come on.
okay.
Go get him, Tiger.
He's a lot of bus drivers who used them to stay.
Thank you. I'm disappointed in the level of direct acrimony that was leveled at the administration and the board. There have been there was a time when I would have stopped you from saying what you were saying, but I felt like everybody had to say what they had to say, and so I just let you go. But I'm disappointed with the level of rancor directed at specific people that I heard today. I do want to correct the record on one thing. When I put together numbers based on the information that was provided to us by Mr. Klein, actually, but I corrected errors that he had inadvertently made, several of them, and did a comparison between Christ and version option B and Christ and version A. Version B, without including any of the extras that Klein and New Roads were going to charge us for, were more than almost $200,000 a year less expensive. Price was less expensive. And when I did a comparison with version A, it was about $100,000 a year over 6 years that Christ was cheaper. I made that information available to the board members. I told them, if you want the information, you can have it. I had one board member ask me for it, asked me one question, which I answered. I've sent that information to, that spreadsheet to the administration to review for clarity, and because it is my document that I came up with, I am going to make it available if the administration determines I didn't miss anything, because I don't trust anyone. No offense, I don't trust anyone's numbers. I go back and do them myself, so I just wanted to correct that, to say I do understand that there may be a timing issue that people are hung up on. That's fine. But I made it available to the rest of the board to look at if they wanted to. So I just wanted to let you know that. And like I said, after the administration looks at it for clarity, because it's a document that I came up with, I will make it available once it's checked for clarity and correctness. Now, some people might say, well, who cares, because it's all over and done with. But as was brought up, I'm told that if the decision and its monetary impact on the district were made more clear, there are a lot of people who would feel less aggrieved by this decision 6-3 by the board. And once we make a decision, yay or nay, the board moves forward to try to do our best to make those things happen for the good of the district and for the good of our employees, for the good of our vendors, for the good of our community. I understand that you don't think that the vote itself was for the best for the students and for the community and for our vendors, but that's what we do. Once we've voted, we have to move on to the next problematic issue or the next celebration of good things happening in our district, or the next disaster.
As you said, Halter will be the next disaster. Which you're worried about, Halter.
Are done with that discuss. We're not done with the discussion, because obviously you're still here, and so I'm telling you that once it's been reviewed, I will make it available, because it's my document that I created. So there's that. So anything from the rest of the board on what was discussed today? I know a lot of us were personally attacked. I don't.
Not just us, our children.
Yeah, I'm clear on that. But again, I can't prevent people from saying what they're going to say, and I apologize for that. But
Can I just say something?
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna keep it simple. You can attack, I'll speak for hopefully most of us, you can attack us. We're here, if you want to attack us, that's fine. But when that young lady brings up my wife and my family, that's hard. You know, they're not in this, they're not here, they're not part of this, it's us. So if you want to attack me, I get it, but that's all. And I may say one more thing. One of the things that got me involved, and I think you two might have remembered it, but a couple boards ago, that
Yes.
you know, when we were sitting out in the audience, and I want to say this clearly, but I was told to shut up one time when I was at the thing from a board member, and that still bothers me. That's one of the reasons I'm here. So when I'm saying I don't need to attack anybody, but just leave my family out of it. That's all. And I would say that for all of us. I think we're parents. We're in this school district. That's all. We get it. I mean, this is not an easy decision. We get it. And we understand. And this was a hard decision to come up with. But please, if I may, just leave our family out of it. That's all.
You attacked our family.
I didn't attack anyone's family.
I don't think it was an attack.
No,
It
ma'am.
was just a reference.
No, ma'am, you referenced my 6 kids.
I did.
You did.
No,
Well, not you, okay, I'm not gonna say that. But when
It was a reference.
Ma'am.
I apologize for that. That
It's-
was written by
No,
someone.
I'm not trying to continue it, I'm just saying.
We're not trying
That's all.
to
Thank you.
continue. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're not Reagan. This is a thankless job. They not only come to this board meeting once, twice a week, and all the committees that they do, then get your name on the ballot. If you can do any better, then get your name on the ballot. And somebody
Well, before this gets out of hand, I'm not, and Mr. Klein and Mrs. Wood, I'm not trying to have an issue with anybody. I just that was all. That's all. I can appreciate everything else, and it's not fair to say, if I say this, you don't know what it feels like to be on your side. I apologize for that, but that's all it was. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we listen to. We always listen. I think as a board, I'm going to stop talking.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
I apologize.
I'm just
Do we
saying, I
have
apologize
any-
if you took it as an attack.
Thank
Do
you.
we have-
I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Call a bitch, that wasn't an attack.
So we don't need it. I wasn't trying to start something.
Yeah, so,
I'm good.
oh. Mr. McCray, did you want to get
No,
up?
right here.
Oh,
The gentleman at the.
did you want to say something? Oh, come on. I apologize. I didn't mean to cut it off.
James Brewery, 167 Valley Road. New roads employee, or was. I don't know what I'm doing yet. I'd like to know who is going to pick up my kids. I do have a child that's gifted. So he rides a minibus. I'd like to know who's going to provide transportation when this company can't provide transportation. Are one of you people going to come and pick him up? Because I have to personally find another job right now. So I don't know what I'll be doing, what shift I'll be working on. But me and my wife both work. Who's going to provide transportation when this company can't pick it up? And there's nothing set up yet. I also want to speak for speaking about children. I don't think anybody meant to attack anybody's kids here. But you still have 2 kids in school, right?
I have 2.
Okay. We've always tried to step up and provide. Bus breaks down. A couple of weeks ago, we had that tremendous storm. Who was out there? I did a VOTEC run. I came back. I ran a bus out to a broken down bus with kindergartners. And I stood there and I transferred every one of them. We did our job. That's we're not. I don't think anybody meant to bring up anybody's children, attack anybody. Just being honest.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Oh, don't be.
Could somebody answer my question? No, who's gonna provide transportation for my kids when this company can't?
As I said before, all questions will be answered on the school website within the next 2 to 3 days.
Thank you.
Hi, Keith Bergen, Andrew Township. You say it's personal, but when you hire an out of the area bus company, it's very impersonal. And the employees they're trying to hire right now, are they even going to have enough employees? I never realized, I've only been driving bus 2 years. After 33 years, I lost my job to the COVID thing. And semi-retired now. Well, I was talking about this with my wife the other night, and she brought my attention. Neighbors have been asking us, I mean, this is a real firestorm that y'all created. And some of these drivers have been driving 30, 40 years. Kids. I was like, wow, that's true. That's the influence that they have in this community. It's very personal. Each and every one of these drivers. And I wonder, and I think maybe some of the hostility that you're sensing is because there's a lot of, it just seems like there's an insensitivity in this board to these issues. If you didn't have all the information, why did you have to act until you got the information first? You could have put this in advance for a year until you got all the facts and information. But I got a sense that this is going to create a lot of problems in this community. Thanks a lot.
Hi, my name is Hannah Becker. I live here in Birdsboro. I started going to Daniel Boone School District kindergarten. I've lived here nearly my entire life. When I was in first grade, I was on New Roads bus. Our bus could not go up 11 Good Roads Hill, and we were stuck on ice. The owner, I believe it was New Roads, came and got us kids off of the bus and took us home on a van that was able to make it up the hill. New Roads and Klein have devoted their lives to this. And not only just New Roads and Klein's, I don't recognize any of these faces besides Mr. Hurley. Sorry to call you out, but you were my middle school principal. And I've heard nothing but decline about the school district since I've, gone on and left. And I think that goes and shows for something. Have a good night.
Hi, I'm Sarah Lasik. I'm a resident of Amity Township for 26 years now. I have had a child in Daniel Boone School District until last Friday for 25 years. This district has gone down. That's not the reason I'm up here. What I want to know is we're all up here sharing our disbelief or our disgruntledness with the change that happened. With all of us sharing this, is anything possible to change? Is there any way that this can be re-voted on? I know you said you vote and you move forward. Is this a done deal? It is a done deal. Is that what you're eyes closing and shaking hands?
We signed a contract, and the only way for us to get out of that contract would be if there was a breach of contract by either party.
Force majeure.
In that same light, when the budget was looked at and when the contracts were put out for bid, did it also take into account the revenue that comes in to the district by these companies being in the district and paying taxes, them living in the district and paying taxes, their children staying in the district and paying taxes, and then all of the community that has their income coming from these two companies? Was that taken into account? I know, believe me, I've been here for 26 years, the taxes have gone up. A lot of people are complaining of what they are now. Like, those of us who have been here a long time, we've never seen them go up.
I know.
Nobody wants taxes to be higher. However, sometimes you pay for what you get.
Go ahead.
So basically, you know the other company going after new roads and stuff? You're taking away our family. Basically, because I'm special needs, I go on a white van, not the one who wear like free candy, you know, and stuff. I'm saying like a kind woman who drives me. And I don't want to say goodbye to her just because one stupid company taking her away from me. I won't see her again in my life, unless it's like at the grocery store or something. And I'm going to miss her, but not from my bus driver in the afternoon one
Twice, is that correct? If you have any other things you want to tell us, you can either email me or ask someone else to come up. We usually only give everybody one bite of the apple. Thank you.
Okay, well, I did want to say that each and every one of you should look someone in the eye when you're standing up here, because they deserve that. Not every one of you, but you and I, every time you were up there. Okay, but there was times, I'm sorry, that I saw people looking down, texting, or writing stuff. That's where I think we feel like we're not being heard, we're not being respected. That's all I'm saying.
For what it's worth, I've told people at other board meetings that the reason you sometimes see more of the top of my head than you see of my face is because I'm writing all the questions that you're asking me so I can make sure that the answers and the questions are all answered. And I have mentioned that at multiple meetings before. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, to parrot part of what she was saying,
Sure.
I've never seen such rude behavior by board members at a public meeting. The use of the cell phones, the facial expressions, the smirking, the laughing, when people are commenting, is something I've never seen before. With regard to the contract, my comment would be, as an attorney, I've never seen such a poorly written contract. I cannot believe that it was signed with a guarantee for bus drivers not to begin until October 31st of the school year. Has Rhodes and Klein ever come to you with a contract where they were not guaranteeing buses running on the first day of school? I've never heard of such a thing. What kind of a contract starts 2 months into the school year? How are we supposed to transport our children? If a special needs student is upset over losing his bus driver and is worried about how he's getting to school every day, I've never seen an issue, and you're lovely. I've just never seen anything like it. The custodial program has not worked well. I know several of the custodians that were Daniel Boone employees. They tell me the schools have never been filthier. The cafeteria workers, that did not work well. I've heard that's understaffed. The second a child is touched on one of these school buses by an out-of-county bus driver who is being paid bare minimum, the firestorm will be nothing you've ever seen before. And I certainly hope that doesn't happen. The bus drivers are our neighbors. We see them in the grocery store. We know who they are. We know where they live. And now I'm going to have potentially a stranger from out of town driving my 7-year-old grandson to first grade. I pity you. I think the decision was very misguided.
Anyone else? Okay. I had a motion to adjourn. Ms. Bell, can I have a second? Second. Ms. Albright. We are adjourned. See everybody here next week.